Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Stefan Adams, the head football coach at Findlay High School down, of course, in Ohio. How are you?
Man, doing well. Thanks for having me.
So I know the season started off last week. Obviously, not the result that you wanted, but obviously improvements have been made throughout this week of practice. It's always good to see week one and week two. There's always that big jump right there.
Yeah, I think it's every coach will tell you, right? Like it's after week one, it's a matter of, man, okay, we got that game one is done. Win or loss, right? Game one is done.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of a understanding of kind of who we are, and maybe where our deficiencies are as well too. And it brings about somewhat of an excitement to get back to work and refine and improve in certain areas.
Absolutely. So really going and playing a team for those who don't know, of course, you guys played a team from the state of Pennsylvania and stuff like that. What was, obviously there's always challenges in, creating schedules and all that, and that's obviously done way far in advance. Like for example,
Yep.
you're putting together next year's schedule this year, or I know that that's a common theme for coaches that they have to do something has to be done throughout the season because you got to be set up for next year, but. Um, just talk about some of the challenges in that because, I know there was a few hoops you had to jump through with that. And then just trying to get a team all the way from Pennsylvania to come to Findlay, Ohio.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think every coach will tell you, I think the last couple of years, for whatever reason, have been a little bit of a nightmare trying to figure out your out of conference games. Every every league has different rules, different times they play.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, it just felt like the last couple of years, everybody needed game one to be a home game. And it felt that way more on my end of it because of that's what we needed. So that's what we were talking to a lot of schools and hey, would you want to play? We need a home game too. That seemed to be a common theme. So you're trying to plan out. And when you're making these decisions, a lot of factors go into getting a game one, right? It's more than people know. It's where your program is. It's where you are trying to get to. It's what's the best fit. And like, if you're a competitor and you want your program to be competitive, you have to play competitive games. But finding that perfect game, it's not as easy as just, oh, let's go play this group, let's go play that group. It's a lot of things in between. And for us, where we're located, we're in a very interesting space and spot where we have three Division I schools in they call us the Toledo area, but we're a little separate from Toledo.
Yeah.
So I think there's a perception out there, and so you're trying to battle that. Well, we don't want to play Finley, right? I'm like, well, you play Findlay, but you're playing teams in Toledo as well too. Like,
Right.
or I don't want to travel that way, but it's a perfect game, but we don't want to travel that far. It just makes it tough, but at the same time, it's just trying to make sure you're doing the best by your kids. So all in all, the way it felt this last year, the game that we got from Pine Richland was more so just it was getting down to the nitty gritty, and you didn't want to come away without a week one. And we needed a home game, like I said before, and I felt at least if we're going to do it, let's make it somebody that our kids are a little unfamiliar with and fresh and something new. And um, I'm a Pennsylvania myself from southeastern Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia. So
Right.
I was very aware of Pine Richland and talking to their coach, we had some conversations and felt that it was we can make it all work. So 1 year contract and done.
So really just going into, now this week, of course, really talk about that progress I mentioned earlier before.
Yeah,
Always there's always a big jump because week one you hadn't played football in 10 months, so you're going to
correct.
make some mistakes that you wouldn't be accustomed to making. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. But now of course heading into week two, that's where you usually see the most growth from a team. What have you noticed out of your guys?
Well, I think I give our defense credit. I think our defense played extremely hard and they played well. A lot of people mention like getting 11 hats to the ball, and I think that our guys have showed that throughout two scrimmages. But there is something unique about a feeling of a game, the first game, a home game, people in the stands, packed. Our defense did a great job, and I think they were on the field quite a bit much, and maybe got worn down there towards the end, but they never stopped competing and fighting. So I'm excited about where they are. I think our defense has had a good three opportunities to compete against somebody else.
Yeah.
I think offensively, I think we are trying to find some new pieces to the puzzle. We're trying to lean on our offensive linemen for our run game and our pass game as well too, because there are a lot of seniors on that group. So I like that we were getting to our spots. I just didn't think we were sticky enough. I don't think we finished enough. And I think that's kind of the thing that I feel like showing film, reviewing the film that our guys are excited for to go back and get to work on was the fact that, we can be better finishing. We can be better. We're getting to the right spots. Now let's go finish that block. Let's stay on that block. So yeah, I think there's a lot of areas, but I think for the most part, we have kids that are willing to do and show up and do the right thing. So we're excited about what's next because I think we're made of the right stuff.
Absolutely. So, okay, so now we head into week two. Of course, heading on the road for the first time this season at Lima. And that of course is before and I'll get to conference play in a minute, but heading to Lima, what are we in store for week two? Kind of preview that game a little bit.
Yeah, we're playing a team that's coming off a win. I think anytime that you're playing a team that's coming off a win, obviously you expect them to have confidence. And in our case, a team that just lost, right? You don't. How are we going to respond? So I enjoy going on the road. I enjoy those opportunities. I think our kids do as well too. Lima did a good job. They played Piqua, and they were able to win a 12-7. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, you're all good.
Automatic lights. They were able to win. Sorry about that. They were able to win, a game that was 12-7, right? So they're coming in with confidence. They do a good job of spreading their athletes out, letting their athletes make plays. I think defensively they have a lot of seniors, so they're going to lean on those guys as well too. So I think we're in for a battle. I think they got us last year. They'll feel confident, but our kids are excited to get rolling. I think we've talked about one day at a time. Our kids are excited to get to practice today and get ready for Lima on Friday. So yeah, tough game.
Why don't you? I probably should have asked this before then, but well, we'll ask it now.
Yeah.
Heading into you got, of course, let's talk about some of the kids that you have and some of the returners of note for your team.
Yeah, so we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. Riley Corcos is a kid that played in game one. Came down with an unfortunate situation for him, but he played last year, was in the mix. Carter Emke was a receiver that got valuable playing time as a sophomore, as a receiver. Had a couple breakout games, one being at Oregon Clay last year. And then it goes to our linemen, Max Intavon, left tackle, Giovanni Ambrister, left guard, Brody Smith, right guard for us. That's kind of can go anywhere on the line. Those three guys have played a lot of football. They've played since they were sophomores, so they've seen it all, done it all. And like I said before, we're going to really lean on those guys to help us, create a good balance on offense. And then defensively, Jack Young's a young kid that played last year as a sophomore on defensive line. He's doing a great job. Uh, Trayshawn Hyde, we call those guys the Bash Brothers, at defensive end as well too. And then our linebackers, two returners there, Hudson Yeager and Miles Bailey. And then in the defensive backfield, Will Hammer and Jacob Gebhardt. And Will Hammer being one of the leaders, I think, of our whole team, does a great job of just showing up, working hard, and embodying what a Trojan's about.
Yeah. So NLL play, I know you never want to look ahead, but since
Yeah.
it's conference play, I will kind of have you preview what the league's going to look like this year and know. Of course, after Friday against Lima, and then Springfield at home, and then at Southview, at Fremont Ross. You got Clay, Perrysburg, Whitmer, Northview, and Anthony Wayne. The NLL has proven year in and year out that it's one of the toughest conferences in all of the state of Ohio, and especially after the teams from the track conference came in when the Catholic schools in that league went over to the Catholic League. So really just kind of preview what the NLL is going to look like in this coming year because it's going to be a lot of teams, a couple new faces at head coach for a couple of the schools. So what are we going to expect from the league this year, you think?
It's a great league. I think Richard Brown and our commissioner did a great job of trying to find, how we can continue to enhance this league. So, big hats off to him. Great coaches in the league too, good people. Guys that I talk to pretty fairly often. Andy Brungard at Anthony Wayne, I like to call a good coach friend. Dirk Connor, Perrysburg. We talk often, and just other guys that you meet along the way. I think there's a lot of good people, a lot of good coaches that want to see the league be successful and continue to thrive. Every week's a battle. I think you mentioned the schedule, and I have no idea who was next week. So, uh, thank you for a little preview out there. It's a home
Sure, why
game. I know
not?
that. I know that. But yeah, no, just tough teams. I think a lot of new faces. Last year I think the league. You had a uber talented players and quarterbacks. You think about the quarterback situation last year. There was talented quarterbacks in the class, and there's a lot of new faces playing that position. Um, I think a lot of guys a lot of like guys graduated. So nonetheless, with great coaches equals consistency. So a lot of competition, a lot of heated games. Like I said, we're still learning new rivalries, all those things that make it fun when we entered into the league, and we want to continue to make a name for ourselves in the league as well too.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Stefan, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck this weekend against Lima.
No problem. Appreciate the time. Good stuff.